Greetings and welcome to COMETSA Television Network, the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. My name is Sam Zima. I'm going to be hosting this show, engaging with you online, digitally here. And of course, I should be joined by some of my colleagues if they manage to beat the traffic and be on time to be part of this interesting conversation. Our shows are based on the principle called the idea. We inform and entertain, develop and educate, empower and support, associate and network. That's the idea. COMETSA Television Network is our video streaming platform. It's a unit of COMETSA Global Online Channels. We'll explain that as this is part of this launch of the theme or the series called Empowerment Through Business Education, Live Conversations. The COMETSA history is known to many of you, those who have been following our events. And the Global Online Channels is the platform under which many of these streams or platforms are located. The principal business of COMETSA GoC International P2R Limited is human capital management and leadership development through consulting, coaching, mentoring, facilitation, advisory, hybrid training, learning and development, eventing, and networking. Of course, these are online streaming as you know it. So the eventing value proposition is focusing on human capital development related to conferencing, workshops, seminars, webinars, and the rest. Further details on the principal business activities of COMETSA GoC International can be obtained at our homepage, www.cometsa-goc.com. Let me give you the context and the background, of course. From the very beginning, when COMETSA was established, its main purpose was and still is facilitation and implementation of individual, community, and organizations development programs. We coined the holistic purpose, which is we wanted to be the organization that everyone wants to be part of, directly or indirectly. I would like to believe that 28 years later, we have definitely lived up to this purpose, as you can see demonstrated by the progress we have made. We have clearly demarcated the organization into for-profit and for non-profit unit. The profit side is under COMETSA GoC International, P2R Limited. The non-profit side, it's under COMETSA Development Agencies. You can check that under cometsadevelopment.africa. And of course, the membership-based organization being COMETSA Membership Club, that you can see it under cometsamember.com. So today we're launching this Empowerment Through Business Education series and linking it to COMETSA Business Online Learning Platform. And we want to feature the interpersonal skills development course. And you can go to businessacademy.cometsa-goc.com to experience some of the plus minus 150 courses that we are offering under the Business Academy online learning platform. Our objective, let me touch on it, the integrated and blended learning solution is what we bring to you through this online learning platform. We are driven by our desire to contribute to skills development, talent management, and building the competencies required by our people, organizations, and the country at large. According to the KSA competency framework, competency can be understood to be knowledge, skills, and attributes or attitude. Knowledge relates to information in the cognitive domain. Skills relate to ability to do, and that's the physical domain. The attributes and attitude relates to qualitative aspects, being personal characteristics or traits. So competencies can be classified into universal competencies, transferable competencies, and of course, unique competencies. Let's look at the universal competencies. This is the reflection of the company's values, culture, and business imperatives that should be exhibited by all employees, e.g., guiding behaviors like cost effectiveness in service delivery, customer focus, or teamwork. The transferable competency is the skill and the ability that is needed within several roles in varying degrees of importance and mastery, e.g., the managerial and the leadership skills. The unique competencies is a specialized know-how or the ability required within a specific role or a job, e.g., the technical or the functional skills like marketing, strategy, or discovery of new methodology or methods of doing business. So organizations that have adopted or developed competency models as a basis for the holistic development of their talent will understand what we mean by competency model. And that will mean to consist of competencies as we have described above, the proficiency levels and behaviors indicators, and of course, lastly, the measurement approaches. So a competency model is therefore a group of competencies that describes successful performance for a particular organization, the function, the level or the role or a job. Therefore, competencies looked at independently, of course, will be of no value. The competency-based HR management framework views the competencies from the outputs, behaviors, and capabilities perspectives. It defines competencies as a person's capabilities in the form of knowledge plus skill and attitude, which are reflected through a person's behavior in the form of actions, thoughts, and feelings, and finally manifesting themselves in outputs, which could be their products and services. So here at COMETSA Business Academy online learning platform, we are developing competencies and managing skills by offering these online self-paced courses guided by the competency-based HR management framework as explained above. So what is our focus? It is all about development and growth at every level. We focus on enhancing skills, competencies, and knowledge, ensuring that individuals, groups, and teams are well equipped to tackle challenges at the administrative, management, technical, and operational and even leadership level. So it's wonderful that you may now embark on a lifelong, continuous personal and professional development journey with our integrated and blended business learning model. So our promise is to deliver empowerment through business education driven by our philosophy, the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. This is the intention, this is the consciousness behind which we drive these online learning programs. And of course, as shared with you, our principle called the idea is what drives our method of our approach to sharing this knowledge. We inform and entertain, develop and educate, empower and support, associate and network. That's the idea. We believe that business education is a lifelong process. It ensures that employees, staff, management, and leadership remain agile and prepared for business challenges. Our motto is empowerment through business education. And our business education menu is made up of the following bundles, made up of 12 to 25 courses of 12 modules each, and that is attainable online. Those bundles are administrative skills courses. That will be the first bundle. The second bundle is the career development courses. Third one is the human resources courses. The fourth one is personal development courses, followed by sales and marketing courses, supervisors and managers courses, workplace essentials courses, and lastly but not least, tech proficiency courses. Today we're featuring one course under the career development courses bundle, and that course is the interpersonal skills. Some insights there we'll share with you, and if you go online and visit our website, businessacademy.cometsa-goc.com, you'll get more details. And what is interesting is that when you're on the platform, you need not actually wait to be given any permission. You can actually access the courses, pay for it online, and start learning at your own pace. Let's talk about the career development courses as a bundle. We all, as you know, embark on educational development journey with the aim to one day find a job of our lives. All of us have been directed from that perspective. The vocabulary career features very late in many of us' professional journey. That's why it often happens, most people find themselves doing the jobs they do not like. Only then they become aware of the difference between a job and a career. Sometimes by that time, a lot of damage to career prospects will have happened. Therefore, the career development courses under this bundle are designed to help you advance your professional lives by acquiring new skills, growing knowledge, and improve your overall career prospects. Under this bundle, you will find diverse courses covering general career development, skill-specific and industry-specific soft skills. They will help you enhance your career development skills and knowledge, increased job opportunities, career advancement, personal and professional growth, and of course, improved job satisfaction. If you are clear about the career you want to or you are pursuing, it will not matter if occasionally you find yourselves doing the job you do not like. Many of us have gone through that, and we later came into contact with the jobs we like most. And what we are trying to address with this bundle is to shorten that period of being in jobs that you might really have not wanted to do, but circumstances pushed you there. So our courses under the Career Development Courses bundle at this academy online will equip you with those skills, the insights, the awareness, and the knowledge to address the crucial topic of career development and career management. We see this as a lifelong responsibilities that should be carried very clearly in our lives. It should start during the preparatory phase before even entering the world of work. Through all your years in employment, and of course, until the last phase of your employment and into your post-retirement era. The responsibility does not stop when you retire. For as long as you are alive, you will have to deal with the aspects of career development from your past, present, and of course, even the future. The environments and conditions under which we make careers these days are changing very fast. They are impacted upon by the new technologies, especially the artificial intelligence. This makes career development a very demanding self-development task and responsibility indeed. This bundle offers you diverse career development courses like building confidence and assertiveness, communication strategies, developing creativity, interpersonal skills, digital citizenship, personal branding, negotiation skills, project management, time management, soft skills that you need, and many more. So you can check the bundle and sign up as indicated online at businessacademy.comesa-goc.com. And we have all kinds of payment gateways that you can use to process your transaction. We thought that we kick off these weekly conversations, and hopefully we'll have more of the students joining us in these conversations. We should look at a very important skill that we call interpersonal skill. I'm sure we have all come across some people that just appear to be naturally dynamic, charismatic, and just have a way of being remembered by everybody. I wanted to start by asking you 3 questions. The first question is, prior to you being exposed to any intervention of some sort on interpersonal skills, how did you used to go about engaging and interacting with your stakeholders? The second question is, once you have been exposed to the skills, interpersonal skills, knowledge or insights, and even the models, which of your practices and behaviors did you feel embarrassed by or felt that you should have had the knowledge before you actually develop certain behaviors that you may not like? Thirdly, now that you have acquired this knowledge, how will you position yourself and show up as you engage with stakeholders in your day-to-day life, either for personal or professional reasons? How will you show up? And how will you intentionally use that insight to maximize the quality of the relationship that you want to ask? Those 3 questions, I'd like us to come back to them at the end, or as you go through the topic of interpersonal skills, please try to reflect on. This course will help participants work towards being that unforgettable person by providing communication skills, negotiation techniques, tips on making an impact, and advice on networking and studying conversations. They will also help you identify the skills needed in studying a conversation, moving a conversation along, and progressing to higher levels of conversation. I recall some earlier years 28 years ago when COMETSA started with the young footballers, and we embarked on giving them the skill to make friends. Simple as that. And we will send them to the park and ask them to identify any stranger there at the park and approach them and start the conversation. It was quite interesting how a simple step of actually starting a conversation with a foreigner or a stranger can be so difficult. And yet, when you overcome that, it opens the world of opportunities in terms of connecting with people, and especially when it comes to networking for business purposes. So there is value in thinking about how you go about building relationships with people, professionally and personally, that you might be meeting for the first time. So you will be introduced to some modules like verbal communication skills, non-verbal communication skills, making small talk and moving beyond, moving the conversation along, influencing skills, remembering names through powerful introduction, bringing people to your side, sharing your opinion, negotiation basics, and making an impact. These are some of the skills and competencies that are often assumed when people are appointed into positions where they are meant to work with people, either internally or externally. Only when people step into these roles do we then realize that these competencies don't just exist because someone has an education or has an experience. Research has consistently demonstrated that when clear goals are associated with learning, learning occurs more easily and rapidly. By the end of this course, you'll be able to understand the difference between hearing and learning. Know some ways to improve the verbal skills of asking questions and communicating with power. Understand what nonverbal communication is and how it can enhance interpersonal relationships. Identify the skills needed in studying a conversation, moving a conversation along and progressing to higher levels of conversation, identifying ways of creating powerful introduction, remembering names as stated, and of course, helping the people seeing your point of view. That's the objective of this course, and I hope that when you visit our website and you page through the course, you will be able to actually discover the content as stated here. We are also encouraging the graduates of our alumni of our online learning platforms to take membership with COMETSA Membership Club at cometsamember.com, and then become part of our journey. Some of these people were encouraged to become associates as associate coaches, mentors, facilitators, consultants, and advisors. You will be able to partner with us as we engage with our clients, especially through coaching and mentoring. There you will realize the power of the interpersonal skills and how helpful it is as you engage with your mentees and coachees, the confidence level that you will gain by being intentional and purposeful in acquiring interpersonal skills. You will never reach the maximum level, but you will continuously become better as you consciously apply some of these skills. And of course, we encourage you also to volunteer working with us in the development side to build these skills and be available for when and you are needed to be partners in business. So that's the gist of this series. We're going to be introducing a course per week, and we will be in the future allowing some people to gain access to our courses by winning some competition. I'm not going to start today because today it was just the launch, But from next week onwards, we will be giving at least 1 or 2 to 3 courses for free to have access throughout the year in acquiring those skills through our online platform. Let me remind you again how to access our online platform is business-academy.cometa-goc.com, and you will be able to page through a number of courses. And depending on where you are in your career, you will be able to identify a course. As stated, the courses are grouped into bundles. The first bundle is administrative skill course. The second one is career development courses. The third one is human resources courses. The fourth one is personal development courses. The fifth one is sales and marketing courses. Sixth one is supervisors and managers courses, followed by workplace essentials courses and tech proficiency courses. And as stated, you can actually buy the courses online. We have a payment gateway that you can use to actually process that payment. And once you pay, you'll be taken to the backside and where you'll be able to register on our learner management system and be able to access the courses. There you are, the empowerment through business education, and of course, the first course, interpersonal skills course that you can access. This was the first series, and please tune in the coming week around the same time, 1800 hours, exactly South Africa Standard Time. We will be introducing course per week, and as stated, take you through what the course cover. This was brought to you by COMETSA Global Online Channels, in particular the COMETSA Television Network. And we are closing this introduction, and I'm going to check if my colleagues are available so that we can just reflect a little bit on the introduction. Let me welcome Rabula, who's just tuning in now. Rabula, welcome. You're joining at the right time when I've just finished the introduction of our interpersonal skills, and then of course our bundle career career development programs. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Sam. It looks like even my streaming is not nice. It's got some little bit of a reflection. It worries me because I came in running. You know, when you are blocking the traffic and you're worried about timelines, you come in very, 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 very worried. But I'm here. Let's take the viewers and listeners who are next level in terms of where we are going, where we're leading to as COMETSA Academy, and taking us to the next level. That's all I could just say for now until I get a little bit settled. But we are on the same pace.
Yeah, welcome. Your timing is very good. I actually appreciated you guys allowing me just to do the background and the intro before we go into conversation. I hope Tendani will be able to join because she has completed the interpersonal skills course.
That's right,
and received the certificates, and it will be very interesting to hear from her. But basically, the gist of my kickoff was to say that this is a lifelong learning journey. As you well remember, we started in May 2020 during COVID. We never stopped, and actually we have adopted the culture of continuous learning to a point where now we have a self-paced digital online platform where people can go in and choose among 150 courses, any course that speaks to where they are. But to help them understand what is available on a weekly basis, we'll choose one course and we'll hold the conversations around that course as we have always been doing. But now the good thing is that we can point people to a platform where they can actually register.
Yes.
Any reflections on that? I think we've come a long way in my view, but it will be good to hear it from other people. But your perspective there, Rabula.
So my perspective is to say, do you know, skills or interpersonal skills is a continuous learning at all times, because don't forget that you are learning as a person. It's not static, it keeps on revolving. And as you revolve as a person, also your skills get revolved to make sure that you're on the same page at all the times. Don't forget one thing, that interpersonal is you are engaging with other people.
Yes.
One example which I often said, especially in a business environment, is to say your as a entrepreneur or as an individual, your interaction differs. If you compare where we come from as kids, how do we used to interact with our parents, and how today's generation interacts with their parents, there are also evolution in that space. So interpersonal skills, that's how it evolves. It keeps on evolving. You cannot say you've learned it and now you're mastering it. You keep on evolving all the times.
I was
So
I was looking at the competency model and wanting to understand the difference between skills and competencies. But then I went to the competency model, and it was quite amazing how they actually describe it. They said the competency is not just actually the skill; it's a combination of the skill, the knowledge, and then of course the attitude. I mean, let's hold it there and talk a little bit about that, because you and I, we grew up in the era where you needed to produce the certificate to demonstrate that you are qualified. But now we are saying that knowledge, the experience, and the skill you have is not sufficient. You also require behaviors and attitudes. And those behaviors and attitudes that you have, if you are not conscious of them, they may work against you. And that brought in the concept of competencies and how what we should look at in looking for the right people for the right roles.
So Seb, what you're raising is fundamental accurate. I'm one of those students when we start learning about OBE, outcome-based education. At the face value of it, you may say, but it's not so fundamental far away from the way of learning. And the old way of learning was memorizing. Can I use the wrong word of say cramming? So as to make sure that you get certificated. The outcome-based is what we have learned. How do you produce it? How do you understand it? Or how do you apply it? That's where the difference is. So what you just raised now is an issue of saying, you come from an era of saying, I'm an accountant. Why do you say an accountant? Here's a certification of he's an accountant of it.
Yeah.
But when you go to the outcome and the practical base of it, you might say, hence the issue of saying experience kicks in. His word said, how do I see, or how do I visualize, or how do I see exhibition or portfolio of evidence say, yes, you are competent in this phase. So based on that, that's where that interrelation skills or interpersonal skills kicks in, of saying, I've studied this, I've learned about this, but that does not make me competent until my behaviorals, or until I can produce what I call portfolio of evidence with the effect of saying, yes, I'm an HR specialist. But being HR specialist, is it because you have studied it, or because you've got portfolio of evidence to produce a yes, this is where the outcome of it says, I'm competent in this specific field.
Let me read it for the benefit of the viewers. The competency-based HR management framework, but this applies across the board anyway. And we keep on referring to HR because as a custodian of skills within organizations. But here is stated that this framework views competencies from outputs, behaviors, and capabilities perspectives.
Yes.
It defines competencies as a person's capabilities in the form of knowledge plus skill plus attitude, which are reflected through a person's behavior in the form of actions plus thoughts plus feelings.
Yes.
And finally, manifest themselves in outputs, which are products and services. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
So basically they're saying you need, if we talk competencies, we're talking about knowledge plus skills plus attitude. So knowledge is not enough. You need the skill, and then of course, you remember the book by John Maxwell, talent is
Yes.
not enough. You need
No,
attitude.
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, then they go further to say the three, knowledge, skill, and attitude, are reflected. In other words, for us to know that you have them, we will observe your actions, your thoughts, and your feelings.
Yes.
Those they will be used to check if you have that. But
Yes.
the evidence of that is to look at the products and the services. If you meet the standard, then we know you are actually the right person for this role.
So when you raise that same, if you go back a little bit, I'm going to go to the issue of attitude, because very often we tend to say I'm competent. But you find that when you enter an organization, you said, are you fit to the organization? Because specifically in the issue of fit comes to your attitude. If at the face value of assessing your competence, they realize that attitude is not fit to the organization values and core vision, probabilities are that doesn't come from competence, it comes from attitude. And then how do you derive it is to say, here we are as an institution, we have read through your competencies, we have read through your knowledge skills, but let's see if your attitude fit in terms of where we want to go.
So it's a package.
It's a package. And based on the package, it's explore further by saying, once you've got those three in package, will the output of those three results in our services or in our products and services to be delivered to our customers or internal customers too?
Will the clients be happy? That's why I like it these days when you phone the banks or any other service organizations. When they finish, there is this persistence to say, tell us how we did. Yes. Or they'll ask you to rate us out of 10. I mean, it sounds very cosmetic, but that's exactly speaking to the last part, where for us to say we have a competent person, we cannot just say it because we feel good. We need to see it in the products and services delivery.
Do you know when you raise the question of the banks, you go back to the behavioral portion of it. Do you know, all days the banking system is the guys and the ladies were formal. But today, when you enter the banking system, they are smart casual. They are no more formal. So, which means the behavior of the banking system or behavioral industry has changed. Why? The customers are telling them this is what we need, not what the banks need.
Exactly. So we're not worried about how you address. We want the service.
Exactly.
It's very emotional, isn't it?
It is motive.
Yeah. Beautiful. By the way, for any profession, in some instances, you and I, we are self-employed consultants. You don't need to measure it. You feel it. You see it. You get the feedback immediately. So that's why the interpersonal skills and lifelong learning, those are just, you need those because otherwise you won't survive.
Exactly, yes.
Beautiful. And then what I also find quite interesting that people will find out from this series of courses is when we talk about the competence, they're saying that these competencies are not just applied across equally. They say that the KSA competency framework classify them into three categories. The first one is there are those we call universal competencies. The second one we call them transferable competencies. And then the last one is unique competencies. Now let me read what is defined here as universal competence. Universal competency is the reflection of the company's values, culture, and business imperatives that should be exhibited by all employees. For instance, guiding behaviors like cost effectiveness in service delivery, customer focus, and teamwork. So in other words, before we can even worry about the Rapula's competency as a let's say salesperson,
Yeah.
we want to know that he possesses the universal competencies of being customer focused, of valuing the values of the organization and culture. So that is the universal. Then the
Yes.
transferable ones, we'll come back and discuss them one by one.
Yes.
The transferable one, the transferable competency, they're saying that is the skill and the ability needed within several roles in varying degrees of importance and mastery, e.g., managerial and leadership skills. So basically, they're saying that managerial and leadership skills are transferable between areas, but in varying degrees. In other
Yes.
words, maybe as an executive, you are expected to have the highest level of leadership competency
Exactly. And
compared
then
vis-a-vis if you are at the operational level.
exactly.
But the
Hence,
fact of the matter is that the leadership skill is a leadership skill.
mhm,
Lastly, before we discuss them one by one, let's go turn to the unique competency.
mhm,
This one is a specialized know-how or ability required within a specific role or a job,
mhm,
e.g., technical or functional skills like marketing strategy, drug discovery, or any sort of new model discovery. So yeah, so those I like those three categorization because it helps those who are in talent search. That sometimes you lump these things into one. You're not clear as to we are looking for universal competency or a transferable competency or a unique
unique
competency.
competency.
You
Yes.
overemphasize one at the expense of the other.
And you know what is very interesting on the same note is when you go to I'm going to use a factory as an example, where in a factory, it's well known that it's more like a value chain. So when the belt moves, it's in a factory level. But that was then. But today it might be completely different. Are we still using the same old method or ideology of recruiting unique skills or unique competencies using the old methodologies? So one example which a person can utilize is to say, on IT, do I need a full-time employee IT or can I outsource it? Where whenever there's innovation, my outsource function will make sure that I'm part and parcel of the unique innovation rather than following internal processes to make sure I do changes. Whilst this is outsourced, changes will happen very fast and very quick because that's that IT specialist role. But on the other hand, how do I secure my IT and IP in that process of outsourced environment? But that's a uniqueness of the role itself. It's not the same as in the olden stage where IT department must do ABCs. But right now, it's the press of the button. This is what I'm picking up. This is what the client wants. How do you make sure that it delivers? And how long it's going to take you to make sure they get delivered? That's where the unique competences kicks in. But let's go back to the very first one, Sam, where we speak about universal competences. We pick up on company values or company culture. I'm trying to take the church one and try to put it to and I hope my Muslim friends won't be fighting with me. I'm going to use the Muslim as an example, where in their culture, there are days what you call Ramadan, where you go the 40 days or 20 days of fasting, 30 days of fasting. And there is a purpose of that. And the purpose of that is to say, we thank God, we thank Allah to give us this opportunity to be in this world, to make sure that we also plow back to the community. For as long as I, as an external person who doesn't understand that culture, it's going to be difficult for me to fit in that culture. I need to learn those values first and be admitted within that culture so that I can start practicing that. It's one example you can utilize that. Yeah, an example.
Well, a friend of mine is a US guy who specializes, I'll remember the name, specializes in cultural intelligence. What you are talking about is exactly that, or cultural consciousness.
Exactly.
Or if you bring it to the corporate, how much aware are you about the culture of this organization? That's a competence.
This is a competence on its own, yes.
And if someone is competent in terms of technical skills, but is not culturally aware and behave in a way that is counter the expectations of everybody else in terms of the culture or the values of the organization, then you are actually not you are not actually universally competent.
Yes.
And therefore you might actually, and I'm sure it happens to many people, that you find that you are technically competent, but you are not universally competent, and you don't get the job. Somebody that's less technical than you, but very strong in terms of cultural awareness, they get the job.
Exactly.
Because the cost of getting somebody that is going to be counter or working against the culture and the values of the organization are very high.
Yes, exactly.
And it's very difficult to address vis-a-vis technical competencies. Now, from a personal development point of view, or even professional development point of view, and I'm asking you as a coach and a mentor, how can we assist our clients with awareness of a competency like this?
So from that perspective, this is when we start by saying, in our core packages within COMETSA, here's an opportunity as a mentee or as a coachee to enroll, to make sure that we enhance where you are and explore where you are, to make sure to become not only skilled but competent to the universal.
Indeed. And you bring me to the rationale why we decided to make these self-paced online courses available, because they are not the end. They are not the end on their own, but they are means to an end. When you enroll on the interpersonal skills course, and then you have Coach Rabula as your coach, then you come to the session thematically being very ready. And Rabula then will, instead of Rabula being forced to become a knowledge transferer, it becomes somebody who engages you on a topic that you have gone through, and you understand what it is. Now what is going to help you is to help you experience it through practice and conversation. How beautiful that is.
It is. And then in addition, the advantage of that online enrollment is that we keep on updating with the latest around the issue of universal competence. So you all the times you become sort of conversant with the latest developments in that field, to make sure that your competency is always enhanced. It's not static. That's why it's important.
In actual fact, it is becoming a trend in the coaching field that at Coach Hub we call them user case. In other words, before a client comes to your session or your program, they will have described the user case. In this case, is an area of development or a topic that you will want coaching to help you with. It's not necessarily the coaching goal, but it's a topic around which you are being coached, and in this case, you also be mentored. But that you will be expected to be to have a little bit of insights into that, so that the coach helps you in the application of it. And but you can imagine, if you understand the topic that you are grappling with, it makes it very easy when you come into session with Rapula to hold a conversation. And more so, it creates your level of awareness to increase so that you are then observant
Yes.
in your day-to-day interaction with your client. So
Exactly.
what we are trying to do here is the blending of the learning online, coaching, mentoring, and even to as far as inviting us to come and hold workshops
Exactly.
with your team.
With your team,
So
yes.
that the topic is more deepened.
And what makes that unique when you invite us to come and engage your team is you may discover something new from your team which you're not aware of. It's more how do we explore this journey of discovery to make sure we're part and parcel of the latest interpersonal skills, especially regarding universal competencies.
And what is beautiful is that, I mean, you really just need your mobile phone,
Yes.
your iPad, and of course your desktop.
Mhm.
You can actually literally, as you're sitting in the taxi, put your
Yes.
earphones and connect to the platform and
And
start taking your courses. And what is so beautiful as well, every module ends up with a knowledge check
yes.
of 10 courses, 10
Mhm.
questions. And believe you me, I'm currently doing the live coaching essentials. There are modules where I don't get 100%.
Yes.
So I'm a coach, I should know in this. And then I realized that continuous learning
It's an
is
important one.
really beautiful because when you repeat it, then you remind yourself, you refresh. And by the way, viewers, you can go to businessacademy.comesa-goc.com. It's really a pleasure to be doing those courses, and they are not very expensive, they're very affordable. And if you register now, you basically have access to that course of 12 modules for the whole year.
Yes.
It's not like you buy it, you finish it, then we lock you up. You lock you off. No, you have for the whole year access. You can do it 100 times if you want. And you can call us 100 times as long as, of course, you are prepared to pay Rapula's fee of coaching and mentoring or my fee of coaching and mentoring. But what is beautiful is when we come to engage with you, we're not going to talk, we're not going to teach you, we're going to hold the space for you to reflect and check whether you have embedded the knowledge by practice, not just by
Yes.
theory.
Yes.
Okay, take it now. We talk about universal skill, which is more addressed by this, but also we do address then the next one. What was the next one I shared with you? The transferable competence.
Transferable competence, yes.
This is where now, when you have this kind of competency, you are actually employable within your organization and even across industries, because that means managerial skills and leadership skills. It is what it is.
Not,
And you
not,
can
not
apply
only
it to any kind of industry and any kind of company.
not only that, as an entrepreneur, that's what you need to make sure
Indeed.
that your varying degrees will take your business to the next level.
Yeah.
It's one of the key requirements within the space as an entrepreneur that you are not static. You are more to say that now is a time for me to develop a team which will have universal competencies and which will have also a different level of competency to make sure that this entity goes to the next level. So it applies to both employees
So,
and
if I'm speaking to somebody, let's say, who is a technical person, an IT person, or an engineer, I'm coaching them and they say, I aspire to become a manager and a leader.
yes.
Obviously, the chances are that if you assess their skill base, they're going to fall short of transferable skills, but have an abundance of unique skills.
Unique skill, yes.
And then they're going to say, but I'm very good at my job, and which is IT. But the company is not promoting me to become a manager. And that tells you that the level of awareness and consciousness of what you require to be able to move out of technical base into transferable base
skills and
skills
then unique
is
skills.
acquire the management and leadership skills. And if you go through the entire COMETSA Business Academy, you'll find that plus minus 150 courses, they actually talk to various transferable skills. That's why at the beginning, before you arrived, Rapula, I took the viewers through the 8 bundles of business courses under which they must look for the type of courses they want to take. The first one, administrative skill courses, and then followed by career development courses, human resources courses, personal development courses, sales and marketing courses, supervisors and managers courses. That's where we'll find management and leadership courses if you want to address transferable skills. If you want maybe technical skills in terms of marketing strategy, you may go to sales and marketing courses. You know, so it's very important to make our clients aware that these competencies are grouped, and they can be addressed by certain courses in the certain bundles. By the way, they can even subscribe to a bundle. If you subscribe to a bundle, let's say career development courses bundle, you will have access to all 20 courses under that bundle for the whole year. Obviously, you may not finish 20 courses, but if you subscribe to a bundle for the whole year, you can study as many courses as possible under that bundle.
Do you know the other thing which is unique about you? I'm glad you mentioned engineers, where you find some institutions say we need coaches. The coach must be an engineer to come and coach another engineer. But the challenge is one: does that engineer require to be coached on engineering, or does it be called coaching? I normally use the word of soft skills
or management or leadership competencies.
Exactly. So
you don't need an engineer to teach an engineer management skills competencies. You need a coach who understands what are the skill sets that we must evoke through coaching.
Because don't forget, an engineer is got a specific role which is playing, which is perhaps that's called competence of the engineer. But the universal skills or universal competency, it's lacking. That's where the coaches
or transferable competencies.
Or transferable competence is lacking. That's where the coaches kicks in and leadership kicks in to make sure that now let's enhance the role play to the next level.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about interpersonal skills. That is a universal competency.
Yes, it is.
And it's required at all levels. And I don't know how many people sit down and reflect on how good they are in developing, managing, and applying their interpersonal skills. Or do they really even have awareness of what kind of interpersonal skills they need to develop? Let me just quickly, to simplify it, go to the kind of modules that you will undergo when you then enroll for this type of a course. I've listed them earlier on here. I just want to repeat. You will be introduced to the following modules. Number one, verbal communication skills. I mean, that is a very, very fundamental kind of interpersonal skills that you need, where you should be able to say something and I ask you repeat what you have just said, and then figure out why I'm asking you to repeat it. Maybe you didn't package it very well, and I'm very unhappy with you as your manager or as your colleague.
Exactly, yes.
The next one is as non-verbal communication skills. You and I and Divesh, we've had quite a number of sessions around this.
Yes.
Non-verbal skills. That's another competency or the module that you will go through. You have making small talk and moving beyond. I mean, this is networking. Networking doesn't happen because you bring big topics. It happens because you're simplistically able to hold conversations with very serious people, but using small talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's more to say that in a networking session, how do you break the ice?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
From a small talks moving into meaningful talks.
Exactly.
If you want to network with the CEO of a company, when you meet him, you're not going to jump into the topic. You will want to have a build-up. And that build-up can only be done on a lesser hectic type of conversations.
Exactly.
Now, how do you go about that? This course addresses that. And then, of course, influencing skills, not manipulating, but influencing skills.
Influencing skills, yes.
And that, how do you build that confidence for people to actually believe in what in engagement with you, and the ability to hold them. And then, of course, the other topic here will be sharing your opinion without actually imposing yourself.
Exactly. So you mentioned one critical element of how do you influence without perhaps I used the word bulldozing, and perhaps I'll use the words of saying dominating.
Yeah.
And in many instances, or in various levels, is to say you listen as much as possible, and so that when you contribute, your contribution makes an impact.
We had this conversation before.
Exactly.
So we say interpersonal skills and engagement mean if Rapula says something, and then you also have a thought, you want to bring something new, but Rapula is on the floor. The skill and the ability to hold on,
yes,
until Rapula has exhausted all his opinion views, and then also to connect with Rapula's input before you bring your idea. Because if Rapula finishes and then I ignore what he has been saying and I bring a new topic, what have I just done?
You actually did not even listen to what Rapula said.
How is Rapula going to feel about that?
He's going to feel, I'm not part of this. Just hold you back. And what you do, you now hold back what could be contributing effectively to the discussion.
That's where listening comes in, and also in coaching a number of times, because you need to edify your client.
So what is very interesting, on the 1st of May, I was facilitating a session of the CPA. In a conversation, you could read between lines, there's two opposing factions here. So whenever the question is asked, there will be a faction which is opposing the question. So what I realized in the process that for me to create meaningful contribution here, whenever the question is asked, I'll ask for clarification. So that when the opposing question comes in, I'll also ask for clarification. And what I realized in that conversation is you now start diluting the factions. And what you bring in? Collaboration. They end up laughing amongst themselves. They said, actually, this we can take it to the next level. And when the conversations ended after the facilitation, 3 key people came back to me and said, how did you manage this? I said, guys, do you know what's your problem? I said, no. Whenever a person is on a podium, you do not listen. If you can listen, whether you agree with a contribution or you don't, the key element is listen.
And that listening is at various levels.
Yes. And I even said you must listen very attentively so as to make sure that the person feels, and also his behavior, the behavior and attitude within the framework have been listened to. Whether his or her contribution will take it further, but the key element is I've been listened to.
So the quality of engagement between two people, either in a coaching session or mentoring or in a conversation, just a general conversation, is dependent on the quality of listening and the power of words.
Yes.
And then the power of nonverbal cues. But I'll go further to say the consciousness and awareness in each of us It's another level of interpersonal skill
Mhm.
that you must develop.
Exactly. Because in addition to that,
So that you can be intentional about you are listening and you are talking.
yes. So in addition, just said is non-verbal communication plays key role in its respect. Because you can listen, but if you are non-verbal communication, does not imply that you are listening. The same as
Yeah,
not listening.
yeah, yeah. Now, Rabula, once people have gone through these courses,
Mhm.
and that's where we address the thematic coaching,
Mm,
and then they embark on a coaching or mentoring program.
mm,
There is a third aspect, which is under the control of the client,
mm,
and that is the application in a real life situation
mm, mm,
that might happen in between the sessions or post the entire coaching program.
mm.
What can we do to equip and capacitate the client never to forget and drift back to the old behaviors when they are no longer now in the learning and in the coaching? Because this sometimes is very much dependent on the habits that we find the clients with. Creating
S-
awareness is not enough.
mm.
How do we make them transform post interventions?
Sam, what you just mentioned, that's why I would say the various industries or various associations qualifying criteria, they've got what we call continuous personal development. Because if you do not continuously develop yourself, you'll fall back to the old habit. Second,
I 100% agree with you there.
yeah. Second to that is I consistently say to the various engagement I have, guys, your best option to practice what you've learned, study it at home. Because if you practice effectively that at home, it becomes a habit. You're going to break the old habit. Because home, you're always surrounded by people you are with. So when you go to the professional field, it always triggered you. Oh,
Yeah,
by the way, my daughter, my son were saying this. And because I did listen figuratively and attentively, it makes sense to the child
yeah,
that even if the child I don't agree with, I ask clarifying questions
yeah.
and I ask alternative viewpoint. By the end of the day, both of us are win-win situation. Then you can
Hmm.
also do it as a part and parcel of your continuous development. But critical to that, your continuous development is the most important aspect of it.
Am I right to say that it's all starts in the mind? Uh,
Yes.
it starts with the mind. And I want to, there's something here that I wanted to bring in there that I was talking to Umpila about it yesterday.
Mm,
The quote from Mahatma Gandhi
mm.
that all our behaviors and actions all start in the mind. I'm sure you have heard this before.
No, I've heard it that before.
It says,
Mm,
your beliefs become your thoughts.
mm,
Your thoughts become your weights.
mm,
Your weights become your actions.
mm,
Your actions become your habits.
mm,
Your habits become your values.
mm.
Your values become your destiny. This transformation,
Exactly.
it worries me because sometimes you can't coach forever.
Mm,
But post coaching program, you'll want to look back and say, then and now,
yes.
what has shifted and
Mm,
what transformation has the client undergone? Can
mm,
they also identify the change in them
mm,
and keep that new way of being
mm.
further and never drift back?
One of the things Sam just mentioned is very important is to say, as an individual, you're on a transformation journey. One of the key elements I often say to or raise to the individuals to say, keep what I call a diary. Whatever you learn for a day, write it down. If in futuristic view you fall into a trap, you go to your diary. That will remind you why you spend time and money on coaching.
Yeah. So
And that's
it speaks to that point we're raising. There have to be, we're talking about the products and this at the end of every competency, we need to see some change in the form of deliverables. And you've said something that a deliverable of a soft skill is you can have it for a short period and then it slips away. And then you say that therefore the answer is learning must be continuous.
Exactly.
And here we are not talking about the degree or the qualification.
No.
Hence the kind of courses we have on the COMETSA Business Academy. And that's why the full year access to make sure that you repeat it so many times until it becomes your way of being.
Until, can I use the words which I once used in this shows, was to say, you practice something consciously until you do it unconsciously.
Yes. The conscious competency model.
Exactly. So once it happened automatically without thinking about it, I'll say now you're competent in that specific level.
You are transformed.
Yes.
So coaching and mentoring in many cases is about transformation of people, and it's more so about their behaviors and their practices. And if they've undergone it, they find themselves doing things without even thinking hard about it.
Exactly. And it's more so once you do any of the two, and you do it with a focus and with a belief that I'm in a transformation, you will transform.
Yeah.
But don't do it that because I'm an employee of X company. My manager says I must go for coaching. You're going to be my coach. But you as a person, if you don't have a buy-in in that specific field, it's going to be a tick box. And I use one example, especially in youth environment. NYDA is funding the youth.
Yes.
But they've got a tick boxes system. You need to reduce costs before you can give you this money. In so doing, people don't do it to go and learn. They do it because of a tick box. The question is, exactly the compliance issue. The question is, how do we evaluate the competency of the specific entrepreneur? Before we can say, yes, we'll give you 2,000 and to go and buy machinery or go and buy a stationery.
So that's why in the competency model, measurements is the last step.
It's one of the critical elements of the output.
Yeah, and I think coaching also is getting to that point where sponsors are asking for return on investment, and they also wanting to have an evidence. In other ways, then you need to measure then and now, and then of course agree on the kind of measuring units you're going, measuring tools you're going to use. I've got no doubt that when people have undergone coaching or mentoring, you can almost tell that they've transformed. But I think that's where assessments come in.
Exactly.
People can take these courses like interpersonal skills course and then subject themselves to psychometric assessments or any kind of assessments. They will be able to actually to determine the level of consciousness and awareness and transformation that they will have underwent.
That's why also coaching and mentoring is evolving. It's not static.
Yeah. Now I see, and I'm liking it now. There are a lot of measurements and tools that are being made available to measure the impact of coaching. And I think, painful as it might be, I think we need to be honest with ourselves and subject ourselves to that. There's the summative and formative assessments can be done, and that can only make us better. And of course, we also need to take our cases to supervision and get assistance by more advanced colleagues
yes.
in coaching and mentoring. That is on the side of us, the coaches and mentors. But on the side of the clients, companies put forward a number of tools that can be used.
That's why one area of supervision, supervisors, managers also bundle kicks in to make sure that you as a person you've transformed. So let's see in a space of supervision, in a space of managers, how far have you transformed and how far can you also transfer skills to the others? It's one of the measurements you can put in place for it.
Yeah. That's why I like this competency topic, because the measurement side of it will reveal things that in our own with our own naked eyes we will not be able to actually measure impact. Yeah, so I'm looking at time. So I think it's 7:15 now. I know there are games going on, and some people will want to watch games. So we might just have to wrap up. There's a UEFA Championship going on. There's a local, what do they call our local league? Betway.
Do you know what is very interesting, Sam? On that field, I only watch soccer over the weekend. During the week, maybe because I used to say I write as much as possible and I read as much as possible, it occupies my mind.
I know. Look, after a long day of hard work, a cup of coffee on the sofa and watching Inter Milan versus Barcelona. It's not a bad thing. By the way, I forgot to ask you to introduce yourself to the viewers. Do that, and at the same time check out for us.
Yeah. Now I'm settled. The only thing is that sinus is kicking now. That's why I keep on doing this on my nose. To the viewers of COMETSA Business, my name is Rapula Mudibani. I'm the managing director and a coach of in the Tlhalefile Holding Groups. I also do facilitation and also do mentoring for micro, small, medium entrepreneurs. My company is based in Bojana District, which is located in Brits, Rustenburg, Mohwase, and also coastal area. In that basis where I do a lot of core of my business that's based to make sure that I contribute to the development of this economy. We had a very interesting discussion yesterday in the mining industry regarding the future of the mining. Where are the pros and cons, where the possible growth, where the possible stagnations. It helps us to make sure that we are aligned in terms of the economic growth of this country, where we are, what we did wrong, and how we're going to fix it. This is a very interesting conversation we had yesterday, but that what we're contributing back to the economy of this country to measure the growth. I'm trying to enter individual coaching, but it's not my competence, core competence, but it's a learning skill also for myself to make sure that I also contribute to the individual growth of people around, either as a career, as a person, as life coaches, where you do things right, where you do things wrong, to make sure that we grow as an individual. But coming to closer, also sort of my take on this session is continuous learning, continuous development will enhance interpersonal skills. If you don't, you can fall back to how you do things. So eliminate the fall back to how to do things. Keep on learning, keep on improving, keep on getting latest information in terms of how things are developing in the world. There are people there who do researches every day and come with the different learnings. And that's how we come in. That's when COMETSA business education will come to the fore and help your individual and your business to grow. Thank you, sir.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Rapula. And for that, they can go on to our online learning platform, businessacademy.cometa-goc.com. My name is Sam Zimmer. I am the CEO of COMETSA GoC International. I am an author and then, of course, an executive coach. I coach under COMETSA supporting our clients. I also coach under Coach Hub, which is the coaching platform global. A lot of coaches there. And then, of course, I'm a head tutor for a executive leadership course under tu.com. Currently, I'm focusing on the University of Cape Town Business School. I have 3 cohorts in a year. So I'm dealing with skills, Rapula, on an ongoing basis and business education. So we're not just talking about this because we want people to go onto a platform and learn. This is what we live, and this is what we find to be making huge impact when people take their development seriously. This was our first series, Empowerment Through Business Education. Join us every Tuesday, 1800 hours South Africa Standard Time. We will be picking one particular course and presenting it and unpacking it for you so that when you go onto the platform to enroll for it, you know what it is all about. This is COMETSA Television Network, our video streaming platform, the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. Our shows are based on the principle we call the idea. We inform and entertain, develop and educate, empower and support, associate and network. That's the idea. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week as we will be unpacking another course from our online learning platform. Thank you and goodbye. You stay in the studio, Rapula.
Thank you.
Sure.